Well, if this episode feels too soon for you, it definitely feels too soon for me. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rep Rent Repeat. It's brought to you by Garage Gym Radio. I'm Jason, or Man Who Parks and Gym, which is ironic because today's episode is mostly about the floor that I park on. And I need you to know something right up front. I did something dramatic, kind of stupid, actually. I ripped out perfectly functional stall mats. Yeah, I know. The budget king, right? The home gym staple, the just go to Tractor Supply and be done with it solution. Completely gone, sold them off, replaced them with rolled rubber gym flooring that I got on Facebook Marketplace, which I did mention in a previous episode, so it shouldn't really come as a huge surprise. But today we're going to talk a little bit about the experience so far. Now, don't move on to a different video or a different podcast or whatever you're doing right now just because you're not interested in that, because we're also going to discuss some other stuff too, home gym stuff, right? Like HomeGymCon, for example. We'll do a community spotlight. We'll talk about why I ditched the stall mats, what installing the rolled floor actually looked like, and whether this was an upgrade or just me being a home gym nerd who can't leave well enough alone. We'll even do a quick product spotlight. So let's get into it, okay? Real quick, like I mentioned, we're going to talk about HomeGymCon. If you've never been, it's hard to explain what it feels like to walk into a building full of people who understand why you care about volcano knurling versus mountain knurling, or how many tops per inch might be in that knurl, or what the bar's diameter might be, stainless steel versus Cerakote, or even the smell that will inevitably and undeniably draw you into the belt-fed leather booth. It's not a fitness expo, okay? It's not a bro fest or influencers flexing under different lighting or anything like that. It's just literally your people. It's the same home gym weirdos that'll listen to an entire episode of a podcast about home gyms and home gym culture. It's the only place where you can try home gym equipment before you buy it. It's stuff that you may never get your hands on otherwise. And you can talk directly to brand owners and creators. Seriously, there is nowhere else that you're going to go and shake the hand that built the equipment that you're going to use to achieve whatever your fitness goal might be. You can also meet the people who you've known through like Instagram handles or YouTube or whatever. There's a whole list of them that are going to be there. They've already signed up, and it may very well be the only list that you want to be on in 2026. But quite simply, you can justify your obsession in real life. You'll have a whole year to say things like, oh yeah, I use that thing at HomeGymCon. And you'll speak with authority anytime someone mentions Dialed Motion, the Leg Developer, or the Temple of Gains Quad Send. Now, if you're on the fence, stop being weird. You know what? You can continue being weird. Just go. Bring your spouse, bring your kids, bring a truck. And if you are going, hit me up. I'll be there. I want to meet you. I want to hear what stuff you're most excited about. I want to hear if you have any theories on what might be this year's like big hype or whatever. I want to hear about that stuff. So HomeGymCon, like I said, it is your online home gym community in real life. And if you're into that, if you've never been, you're in for a real treat. Speaking of community, it's time for the community spotlight. This is one of my favorite parts of the show because it doesn't matter if you have an elite build with all the most high-end equipment, or if you have a single stall mat with an adjustable bench and a pair of Bowflex 552s. It's not about that. It's about appreciating what you have. It's about appreciating that you're on a fitness journey, and it's sharing your build. It's recognizing that no matter what phase it may be in, we all have a similar story about what we love most about our home gym, what we despise, what we do differently, and what we'd recommend. Like I said, it's not about comparing this gym to that one or coveting what others have or anything like that. It's simply being proud of what you've built, enjoying where you are with it, and it's learning that every gym you see here has its own unique personality and all are welcome. It's about people who've carved out space in their life to get stronger, or in my case, maybe to look better naked, even when my pubes turn silver. So with that, let's turn to Antonio Becerra, or Pinche Becerra, as he is affectionately calls himself on social media. All right, so here we are. Had a little bit of technical difficulties sharing my screen for whatever reason, but here we are in Antonio's, or Pinche's, gym. It is a basement gym with a walkout, which is like probably the best way to have a basement gym, I would think. That way you're not Jose carrying stuff down the stairs and all that stuff, taking it all apart and whatever. Now, one thing that I've noticed in kind of skimming through this gym, Antonio has a an eclectic collection of plates. Everything from, you can see he's got these calibrated Ivancos. He's got a lot of Ivancos, but there are sprinkled in there some Rogue. We'll see, quite a few different, some York plates and quite a few different plates. He said that he loves to do marketplace finds, and he'll drive anywhere from, Ohio to Illinois or Illinois to Ohio, and pick up whatever he can find on a good marketplace deal if it's worth it. So we're kind of standing in the middle, the heart of the gym, and you'll see as we go through it, it's a pretty big space. I didn't catch how many square feet it is, but it's got a lot of stuff in here and a lot of room in between. So check it out. We're looking at right now a PowerTech lever gym workbench, I think is what they call that. It's one of the yellow ones you can do, kind of an all-in-one system. It's actually his absolute least favorite. He said he hates it. His son loves it, and he's going to get rid of it as soon as his son leaves for college. So definitely a place where the family uses the space. And I think it's really cool that he's hanging on to it despite the fact that he hates it for the sake of someone else. He's also got some plate snacks represented down here with the donut, and is that gummy bears on the back side of this plate. Pretty cool. He's got it's not the Rogue West Side bench, it's the Titan East Side bench 2.0, which is like a powerlifting style bench. Really nice, really cool. I see. We'll get a better shot here in a minute. But one of the things that I also noticed is on the wall, he's got this Lift Hard, Live Easy Massonomics banner. So normally when you see something like that, there are two things to look out for as you go through the gym. Maybe three things. Three things to look out for. One is a drink spotter, right? We need to be on the lookout for a drink spotter somewhere. Also, we want to look out for a certified gym banner or a gym certification of some sort. See if where he falls in the echelon of Massonomics gyms. And the third thing that we might look for is maybe some stickers or something from people that we know. Maybe we'll get lucky and find an Easter egg of Keith's face or something like that. But we'll be on the lookout for some of those things. So from this angle, I see quite a few. It's mostly a lot of weight plates and a couple of machines. And let's see. I'm trying not to get completely thrown off here, but like I said, I've had a weird way that I have to share the photos on this one, and it's throwing me off a little bit. So I apologize in advance for that. But basically, same area, same angle. I see he's got the Titan chalk bowl with some Ivanko, vintage Ivanko lock collars on there. Really cool. These York plates, vintage York plates. I like these. These are not the most highly sought after, right? It depends on whether you're buying or selling them, how much they're valued at. But I actually really like these because they're kind of the taller script. These are the milled backs or whatever, 35s. And I wish the 25s had that similar style, but they don't. But I just think they look like a nod to the really old ones. And I like those a lot. Despite their weighing 35 pounds. Also in here, he's got a Pioneer leather belt. I wonder, Antonio, will you be at HomeGymCon this year? And I think Pioneer is going to be there. And also I know BeltFed will be there. So it'll be interesting to see how those two fare side by side. I've had Pioneer belts. I don't have a BeltFed belt, but Pioneer has been, for when I don't even have a belt anymore. I just don't lift heavy enough to really need it. But the ones I had, I really liked them. I liked their the lever style, but the PAL lever style or whatever. So also he's got these Titan, like a twist lock collar. Now I got a buddy who just recently ordered a set of those from like Alibaba or Temu or something like that for $16 for the pair. And he gave them pretty high praises for being $16 collars. An Elite FTS, I guess it's like a squat pad. It's really probably for a bench press for, doing block presses or something like that for the bench. Probably why it's over here next to the bench press. But also, we noticed these banners. He's got a banner here of an alien, which I did ask about that because there's another one we'll see here in just a minute. And it's really cool. This is one of those things that I'm glad that I asked, and I'm glad that he shared this story with me. But he told me that his wife is like super crazy conspiracy theorist, like his words, not mine, aluminum foil hat type conspiracy theorist about alien existence. And so for her birthday one year, he threw her like an alien themed party, and he thought it was too good to not keep the banners or whatever. And so he's decorated his gym with them. I love that story. I'm glad that he shared that with me, Antonio. It tells me a lot about you and your personality, that and the Power Tech piece, keeping that down in the gym because your son loves it and stuff. It tells me that you've got strong family values and the things that are important to you, and also that you have a sense of humor. So I really do appreciate that. And I hope that others who are watching and listening do too. And with that being said, we're going to skip over to another shot down the hallway here. From here, we can see he's got a extension leg curl. It looks like maybe like a GMWD or Saidi or one of those, easy to move around, inexpensive plate loaded machines. And then also it looks like a calf raise here loaded down with some weight plates. Decent little shoe collection there. A few different pairs of squat shoes. I always like wearing squat shoes because I have terrible ankle mobility. It's actually ankle, hip, knee. And those are, I did wear squat shoes for a long time. And now I've got some squat wedges and I'll use those just so I don't have to change my shoes or put shoes on or whatever. But so there is that little hallway. Looks like maybe he records his lifts, some down here, and also a little puke bucket there in the back. In center stage here, he's got the Rogue RM6, the 6-post monster rack with the Squat Max attached to the back of it. Man, that's a huge footprint. So that's where I'm saying, like, when I'm looking through here, I'm like, this must be a pretty big space, because that is a huge footprint. Inside the rack, he has the Titan, like monster style bench. I don't know what they call theirs, but it looks like the Monster Bench 2.0 with the fat pad, the Titan version. Lots of Ivanko weight plates, maybe some others mixed in there. I see, looks like the Bells of Steel safety squat bar, and also one of the Duffalo style bars. And then these are, he's got the Smith attached, like the VTS, bulletproof VTS style. I hope Larry's not white. He'll probably send you a cease and desist to tell you to cease and desist using these things if he sees them. These are not the VTS. I can't remember which company this is, but I recognize it's got the key style. You use like a J cup and then has this kind of key style locking mechanism to re-rack it or whatever onto your J cup. I can't remember what company it is that made that style. I don't see them that much. And I think it's because Larry chases down everybody that makes one of those, which, rightfully so, I suppose. But so yeah, lots going on there. Westside barbell banner in the back. I see a little step aerobics going on next to that's probably like a little stairway to the Squat Max. It's probably not actually doing step aerobics, but just making it easier to get on and off the Squat Max. He did tell me that is his favorite piece. That's a piece that he recommends to people, and mostly because he feels like it was kind of he had a bicipital tear at one point and would have all been, but unable to work out whatsoever if it hadn't been for the Squat Max. He said it kept him doing squats and we was able to maintain and keep up with his fitness journey because of that machine. So really cool story there. I do love to hear that stuff especially about a specific piece, so glad to hear that. Again, thanks for sharing that with me and sharing that with the rest of us. I know the Squat Max is one of those that's for like social media personalities and stuff. Man, Brian Hennessy, I love you, buddy. Sometimes your passion comes through in a way that makes people scared to talk about it, myself included, good or bad. You know what I mean? So if you're listening to this, I'm not going to tag Squat Max and anything for that reason. Even though I'm giving you praises, I'm just afraid you're going to come at me in a comment somewhere, or it's not that way, but it's going to feel that way, even if it's not. I mean, we've met in person. He's definitely believes in his product, and I appreciate and admire that. Just felt like an opportunity to give maybe the feedback window's open. I don't know, guys. And if you're watching along, here's where you'll notice he's got, before you even notice that he's got a full set of 5 through 100 Pro Style Ivanko dumbbells across a MaxiCam rack, he's got the second UFO banner, right? And here's where I see on the rack, and then also on this Fringe Sport banner is where he keeps some of his stickers. I'm guessing one of these is where he's going to put the Rep Rant Repeat featured gym sticker if he so chooses to receive one of those. Also got some crash pads here, perfectly placed underneath the dumbbell rack, taking up no space that's not wasted. So excellent placement there. And just cool. Those pro style, for me, the grips are too long, like I know a lot of people really love them. My buddy that I worked out with before COVID and stuff, he had them in his studio gym, and they were always, it's like they helped me to those and the Iron Master, not Iron Master, what are they called? I can't think of the name of that other one. It'll come to me here in just a second. But they have a really long handle for my hand, and I don't even have like small hands or anything. Anyway, it helped me to appreciate whenever I was ordering my own dumbbells and spending the money and stuff, to look into the specs of how long are the handles, and the distance between the heads and that kind of stuff. How's it going to feel? Because I know what a longer one feels like. It's like not too bad on the lighter weights, but as they get heavier, sometimes when you kick them up, it can be almost scary to try to get them centered or get them balanced in your hand. And I don't know what that. I mean, you probably get used to it, and I'm just being a goose or something. But all right, so this angle, this shot, we're just to the side of the RM6 over here. Oh, buddy. Oh man, they're about to drag you. Hold on, let me see if I can zoom in here. This is the Force 6, the Solution barbell hanger, right? I don't have an issue with people buying that. There are some people that will turn their nose up at you for having bought that, but we've got a lot of stuff hanging here, man. Just in this shot, I'm seeing a few barbells, power bar there on the rack. You've got some grip squeezy things. What do you call those? It's got those going on in there. Attachments hanging off of the shrimp trawler, like a meat locker, like more attachments than any man could use. This is one of those things. We do this, right? We've talked about this before, but we get a cable system and we need to try. You have to try all the attachments, man. That's one of the things about HomeGymCon is there are a lot of attachments there, especially this year. I believe there will be. This has been like the year of attachments, so you'll be able to feel all those things out. This is one of the things that really kind of makes this gym unique also, is he's got a pretty decent collection of those kettlebells from Onnit. He's also got one, it looks like from Iron Skull, maybe one of the Iron Skull, like skull shaped dumbbells. He's got the Joe Rogan Onnit dumbbell, pretty sweet. Some of these things, man, and I don't know if this is still the case or if this was like kind of a COVID shortage and then kind of a peak for them or whatever. But there was a time there where some people were paying like thousands of dollars for one of these that had been discontinued or something, right? And so, and it may have just been like the same 4 dudes. That's kind of how I feel about some of the vintage plates. Like I think there's about 8 people in the world that are actually willing to spend this much money, and they all have either owned this set before and they just buy and sell it between each other or something. I don't know, but maybe that's how it is with those two. He's also got the GMWD lateral raise. I don't know what they call that one. It's not the typical one that you see that also, like the red, whatever. This one kind of looks like a scissor. I don't know what it's, I can't think of what it's called. It's got the head pad on it and stuff. So pretty cool. Let me know how that one works. I have never used that one. I wonder if there'll be more of these at HomeGymCon this year. Now, also on top of the kettlebells is a set of York round heads. I think he told me one, like £1 through 50 pounds or something like that. He's got some of them sitting on shelves, and then some of them are kind of hanging. And yeah, it looks like some 1-pounders in there. Pretty cool. There was a time there when Rogue talked about releasing the round heads, but with a modern flair, with like Rogue knurled grips and then round heads on each end, which would have been pretty sweet. There was a time there where I was like, man, I think I would probably buy those. Those would be the ones that would make me move. I can't remember what detail it was that turned me off of them. And it's probably just been the fact that they're probably never going to happen. But there was some little detail that I was able to use to kind of suppress that notion. So, like I said, man, super cool. I don't know what those things are at the top. Maybe it's a grip. It looks like it could be blobs for grip, for those who aren't in that world. When you have York roundhead dumbbells, sometimes, and they may make blobs on their own, but also those roundheads, if you drop them or something like that, they have a tendency to bend the grip. And sometimes people would cut the grips off, whether if they're bent or not, I don't know, but you cut the grips off and then you just have the head and it becomes this grip training tool, right? And they call it a blob. So it looks like he's got maybe a full run of blobs across the top. This is one of those things where sometimes we do this stuff where you have space on top of your rack or on your dumbbell rack or something like that. And you're like, man, I got to fill this with something. So I wonder if all of these which came first, right? Was it the space for them, or was it these and then you needed to get a space to put them on? That's always the question in the home gym. All right, moving along, we see immediately, I notice he's got another set of dumbbells. These are rubber hex. Looks like about 5 through 35 pounds or so, 2.5 through 30, maybe something like that, on one of those like Lazy Susan style dumbbell racks. Also, he's got one of those plate loaded crossover, like dual crossover things. A really good way to get a lot of cable work done, a lot of kind of accessory cable work done. 1000 looks like is that what that is? The AB 3000 Fid bench that you can do decline with. Very nice bench. We talked about this in the last episode because Colin had one. Also, now we've had the Ivanko Pro styles, the York round heads, and now the Hex rubber heads. 3 different sets of fixed dumbbells, which was kind of the opposition to Ramon's gym that we saw the other day that had 3 different sets of adjustable dumbbells. So it's like arch nemesis over here with the dumbbell battle. I see the Goose Barbell Club. I thought for a second, this was Goose Fitness. The original, the OG Goose in the gym is the Goose Fitness, but the Goose Barbell Club is another Massonomics banner there. Also, and like I mentioned earlier, it's pretty eclectic. Some new, some vintage. He's got the York. Imagine if it's the like York bench. I don't know what they're called, bench press things, but they're just these 2 freestanding posts that you can adjust the height of or whatever with like a hitch, like a cotter pin style thing or hitch pin or whatever. And it would just there's no safety. There's nothing like that. It's like true old school. If he dies kind of thing. He's also got a third one. It looks like that he has converted to a second chalk bowl in his gym because wheeling the one chalk bowl around isn't enough. Got that going on there. So pretty cool to see. Also, that thing's kind of like a display piece. It probably just uses it to hold the barbell. And it probably never comes off of there if I'm a betting man. Let's see. All right. And pivoting to the left of that, in the same general vicinity, we see the TV, which is what probably gets him through all these cardio sessions, and the balance beam that we see across the back there. Balance beam underneath the no step on snack banner, well placed. I see what you did there. Also got a couple pairs of shoes back there for activities. But this is again another testament of when I say it's looks like a pretty big space down here because he's got 2 treadmills, a Rogue Echo bike, and then also like an elliptical style machine side by side with room in between There's no wheeling this thing out and putting it into place when you want to use it, and there's no setup or anything like that. It's just jump on it and go. And like I said, there's room to move around in there. So pretty cool. Again, all right, this is a better shot of like a straight on head on shot of the York round heads, the kettlebells, and those are definitely blobs at the top. I can see them better now than what I could in the other. Also, got lots of stuff on storage here, right? Some kind of random miscellaneous plates, some bands. I can see in the back, he's got another barbell. No, yeah, like Easy Bar, things like that. And then also Matador, and you can get another look at his D handles along with the power bar and Squat Max MD, all that stuff going on in here. Again, pretty sweet. Let's see if I can. And of course, the big telltale. This was the other one we said we were looking for, the certified Massonomics certified gym seal of strength. That is the certified official Massonomics certification gym thing. Oh, look, there's another. Is that the 4-6 little belt squat thing? I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Squirrel. Here is a better shot of the Squat Max MD mounted inside the Rogue RM6. There's the drink spotter. We found it. It's right there, and it has a bottle of whiskey in it, because of course it does. Also has more of the On It kettlebells. I see the gorillas, and it looks like a zombie. More of those. Very cool. It's one of those things. Oh, there's a bottle of Eagle Rare hiding up there. He's got two drink spotters. I recognize the Eagle Rare. I can't figure out what bottle that one is. It's not one that I have. Is it? That is. It's one of those things that's just drawn a blank. Probably because I don't remember the end of the night after any night that I might have opened one of those. It looks like the stall mat gripper going on in there. Also a Massonomics gem. All right, he's got the Titan plate loaded lat pull down, and then also gives us a better shot so we can see he's not doing step aerobics necessarily. He is definitely using this kind of like those little stairs that you have for your dog next to the bed so the dog can get up on the bed. This dog is getting up onto his Squat Max MD with the little stairway to squats. Titan landmine. Landmines are one of those things that I just don't do much. Like I should. I think it's because it's not because I do have my landmine over like on the other side of the cars, which is already, it's not because I have to walk across the garage to get to it or anything like that. If my wife's car is not in there, like I don't always pull the cars out. I almost rarely pull the cars out to do a workout. I used to think that I would, and I could. And anytime I do, I'm always like, look at all this space, whatever. But the landmine is on the other side of the garage. And I think part of it is like, I just don't do it. I just don't program it in. It's far enough away that it's out of sight, it's out of mind, and I do something else instead. But whenever I do it, I'm always like, I should do this more often. I don't know, whatever. But the landmine, it is a very useful tool, and I really should reintroduce that. Didn't get a better shot. Still didn't get a good enough shot to figure out what whiskey that is. It's going to kill me. All right. One other thing that I'm noticing here is this. I don't know what bar this is hanging from the lat pull down. I zoomed in on it here. So it looks like it could be like the Bells of Steel Arch Nemesis bar or something without the sleeves. So I don't know I don't think that one had removable sleeves. I don't know, Antonio, did you go like full MW pig and cut the sleeves off of this thing to give yourself this lat pull down, or is it some other bar? All right, here is a better shot of his leg press and weighted vest. Also some, like I said, the Ivanko, got quite a few different styles of Ivanko, including these calibrated 50 kilograms and the York 35s. I see a picture of Keith's face next to another sticker that says DILF. Pretty sure that's not Keith. I see these like roosters or something in the background. I'm waiting for the day when somebody like sends me these pics and I just kind of briefly go through them, and then I'm on here and I realize there's like a dildo in the background or something like that. But no dildos in this one, man. Just luchador mask and a couple of roosters. Over here we got the dreaded weight tree with the weighted out limited edition HomeGymCon red fleck skinny weight plate, 20 kilogram, 45 pound grip plate from Weighted Out. You could only get that at HomeGymCon. I think it was last year that they did that one, right? Or was it the year before? I don't know. He's got one over here, and I did notice he's got another one on one of his machines that we saw earlier. And Jared has a couple of these same ones. He's got the match. So you know where to find it if you're looking to extend your collection there. And there it is, the other one on the leg extension, leg curl machine. Now, I had the Titan version of this, which is probably identical or close enough to it or whatever. And it wasn't that bad. I mean, as far as it's better if you put it up against like a cable machine or whatever. But what I did like about having this piece that I don't have in my gym now is how freaking easy it's so light. You can move it around. I mean, you have to he's got weights sitting on the back side of it or whatever to keep it from moving and tipping or sliding around or anything like that for stability. So you do have to put weight on it to when you're using it, which is nice. I'm telling you, man, when moving gym equipment around the garage that weighs 800 pounds, it can be pretty scary. And you do develop or remember an appreciation for this kind of thing that you can just pick up and carry it without having to think about it. You know what I mean? And no home gym is complete without Mortal Kombat 2 versus Street Fighter 2. Actually, man, this would be pretty cool to do between sets. Way cooler than whatever it is I'm doing between sets. I would have a hard time. I think if I'm thinking back, like which one, I probably played more Street Fighter 2 than Mortal Kombat 2. And it's mostly because it was easier to just mash buttons and get something right than what I felt like it was with Mortal Kombat. And the people that I would play Mortal Kombat, like if I was playing Street Fighter 2 and I'm just a button masher, I would have a better chance of beating someone who knew how to do all the moves versus Mortal Kombat 2. If you got somebody that knew their character and knew all the finishing move or something like that, there's no way. You're just screwed. There's no way that you're going to beat them just by mashing buttons. You know what I mean? So probably still that way. I've got Mortal Kombat on the Nintendo Switch, and my kids will beg me to just obliterate them. And they've made it easier to mash buttons and get things right, or at least do cool enough stuff. It just doesn't do as much damage, I think. I don't know, but haven't lost yet to my 11-year-old, which is not something I could say about video games online playing against 11-year-olds, but my kids don't do that. So they don't know. They don't know that I'm not great. All right, so that's Antonio's gym. Like I said, what I really love about that gym specifically is the fact that, well, and a lot of it has to do with the conversation that we had, brief conversation that we had about it or whatever, but I can feel the personality in it. Everything that he told me, when I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. He's going all over the place. He's picking things up on Marketplace, and he's kind of pieced this gym together over time. And it shares a little bit about, like I said, he's got a sense of humor, uses this space with his family, and he'll sacrifice his own comforts with the PowerTech lever gym workbench thing for his kid, and then also sharing this sense of humor with his wife and putting that in his gym space too. I think that's really cool. So if you want your gym featured, send photos, send video, tag Man Who Parks in Gym or Rep Rent Repeat, whatever. And yes, you get the exclusive embossed Rep Rent Repeat featured gym sticker, literally the only way to get one. So, and yes, of course, I will absolutely judge whether or not I would park in your gym. Now, speaking of tearing up your gym, let me tell you what happened. I'm going to try to do this clearly and concisely. I got to say that my stall mats were fine. They worked. They were thick. They were durable. They were paid for. They were budget friendly. But I don't know, there's not really a but. There's not really a thing that I can be like, what? I wasn't bothered by the scene. I did have a little bit of concern about the gunk that kind of grew in between them and what might be underneath them and things like that, but the seams I never taped my seams or anything like that. I felt like that was one of those things that I was going to be doing over and over again. And I did try to place them in a way that the seams at least looked intentional. So those didn't really bother me. I know some people really hate them and stuff, but I didn't have an issue with rolling my machines around or anything like that. They didn't move. There were a couple of them at the front, like where we park, that I probably could have anchored down a little better. I would have to kick those back in from time to time. But they were good. They were solid and they were really good for parking on them, especially. They all matched. This was actually my second round of stall mats. I think I've told you guys this before, but the first ones I started before COVID and I was just kind of buying one or two at a time to kind of soften the blow because just the idea of just going in and dropping all this money at once was just something that didn't register with me. COVID happened and the ones they went from not selling a single stall mat for over a decade to all of a sudden they couldn't keep them in stock. And the style of stall mats that I had were no longer available. And I did not develop this passion for things looking good overnight. And it was just really going to bother me to know that my floors didn't match from one piece to the next and stuff. And so I ended up taking advantage of the market, sold those for about what I paid for them, and was able to go and pick up a full run of stall mats, which brought me to where I am now. I've always had this idea that I really would love to have had rolled flooring. It looks really good. And then probably somewhere along the way of seeing other people starting to put that in their gyms and just how good it looks and stuff, probably got my FOMO wheels turning and stuff. So when some rolled rubber came up, I got an opportunity to get some of that for not a lot out of my pocket or anything like that on Marketplace. So it was one of those things where I was like, I got to do this because I'm going to kick myself if I don't, and that's going to be my next topic of a podcast or something, right? So I just immediately kind of sprung into action, grabbed 3 rolls at 75 feet, and made this decision to just do this. And it was one of those things, like I still wasn't even quite confident that it was a good decision as I was receiving them, but I was like, I'm going to do this. I know I'm going to regret it if I don't. And I've kind of regretted it ever since I did, in a weird way, because I felt like I forced myself. And I've even had buddies that are like, no, man, you should probably stop now. I'm like, nah, I can't. I'm at this point of no return. I don't really know where that point is, but I said it over and over and over again to myself as I was removing the stall mats and putting the new ones in. It's so much freaking work, man. My wife took the kids out of town last weekend for kind of a long girls' weekend or whatever. And she was like, what are you going to do while I'm gone? I was locked. I mean, I knew what I was going to do, but I was just like, I don't know, probably lay around the house. I got a little bit of work to do, probably work out, that kind of stuff and whatever. But like, as soon as I got home from work, the garage door went up, stall mats started coming out. And I was like, I've got to move all these stall mats out. I got to prep the floors because I didn't do anything to like prep the floor before. I just threw stall mats on top, right? I've got all these machines. I've got to move. I've got to be able to try to do this before they get back so we can still park in the gym and all that stuff, right? So I'm pulling them out of one side, move the machines over, then I pull them out of that side, and then I move the machines back. And it sounds so simple whenever I talk about this, but I'm talking, man, it took me 3 days to pull all the stuff out. By Saturday, had somebody come and pick them up. I sold them, and they came and picked them up. And even that guy was like, I don't know, man. He was like, these stall mats look like they would be better. And I was like, they are. And he was like, he was really trying to wrap his mind around it, right? And I was like, it doesn't make sense. Don't even try, buddy. It doesn't make sense. Just take the stall mats and let me just dig deeper and deeper into this abyss that I've created, right? And so I've learned some stuff along the way. I kind of went through Chat GPT because you can go online, you can watch videos, you can this and that, whatever, and I just overthink it, right? Like I want to make sure I don't mess this up and I don't want to miss a step or get down to the end of it and be like, I should have done it this way and stuff. So I'm like deep in this Chat GPT kind of rabbit hole trying to figure out what's the best way, where should I start, how many inches. And I think I learned Chat GPT will tell you whatever it thinks you want to hear, right? So at first it was adamant that I start 2 feet from the wall because this is going to give me the best place for the seams for my cars to park on. And it's telling me, it's like, oh yeah, buddy, it's just really stroking my ego, right? And then I start looking at it and I'm like, I don't think so, man. So I was like, what about like 8 inches? And I was like, oh yeah, 8 inches is going to be the best because it's going to put your seams at here, 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 and here. And your car is going to be this far from the wall. And then I started looking at it again. I was like, I don't think so, man. Maybe probably more like 15 or 16. I don't remember what I ended up at, but everything that I put into ChatGPT, it just gassed me up more about how much better that was going to be, right? So I don't know how this is going to turn out ultimately, because I did use some of the other tips. Like I was going to do this full glue down method, and it was really overwhelming me to think about how messy that's going to be and all the just it just it was I didn't want to mess with that. So I start like telling Chat GPT like what it is that I'm gonna do and I'm gonna be parking on it. It's 3/8 or it's 8 millimeters and this and that, whatever. Like how terrible of an idea is this? And it recommended some higher quality tape for most everything, and then just to use some higher quality adhesive, not necessarily the floor gluing, just at the front, like first foot or foot and a half or so, where to at the bottom of the slope or whatever where the cars are going to go. So that's what I'm doing. I've laid them all out. I pulled all the stall mats out, which was a pain in the ass, and I don't recommend that. If you got stall mats, especially if you're parking on them, just stick with those. Okay. Don't let the FOMO. I've even seen, like, since I put these in, I've seen other people starting to, like, gas up this flooring thing. I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know. I'm still on the fence. Right. But, pull all that out. I'm rolled the flooring out. I cut it to length, and there's one piece down the middle that just doesn't quite look right. So what happened is I rolled out the first roll, 75 feet, cut 3 pieces that I could get out of that for my 21 foot or whatever it is section, and then moved to the next roll, rolled it out, cut it, rolled another one, cut it. And then I stood at the front of the garage, and it's like the reflection of the light on this one piece makes it look like a different sheen or a different color or something. I flipped it over. I've turned it around. I flipped it over and turned it back around. I've done all the things. And no matter what I do, it just looks different from the others. I can stand right over the top of it and it looks the same. I can stand on the side of it and it looks the same. If I take a picture of it, it stands out. If I stand at a weird angle, it stands out. So I'm trusting that that's going to miraculously go away when I put cars on top of it and stuff, right? So that's where I'm at with that piece. You've got to let the rubber lay out, which this rubber didn't. Some of it, I know it's really hard to get it to lay flat. This stuff is laid out. It's nice. And it really didn't take any time at all for it to look like, I mean, it's not moving or anything like that. I've had my wife parking on it since, even though I haven't completely finished with the tape and the adhesive at the front part. Moving the gym equipment back. Okay. So here I am. It's Saturday. It's taken me all Thursday or half of Thursday after work and the other half of Friday after work, and then all of Saturday to get all the flooring out, get all the new flooring in, cut and prepped and everything. And then I start trying to put the machines back over onto the machine side after the rubber is laid. And it is, because, I mean, they're not taped down or anything, right? And it is not stall mats. So trying to roll that stuff over 3/8 took forever because they would wad up, they would buckle underneath the wheels a little bit. So I would have to like move it an inch or so, just about as much as I could with my comfort level of not like ripping up the rubber or completely messing up something else or flipping the whole thing. And then I would have to lift up the machine with like a jack, let the rubber relax, and then roll it another inch or two. Thank God I only have the HLP and 2 machines in there, because that really would not have been cool with like 8 machines or whatever. If you're looking at doing something like that, just know that there are things that they don't tell you until you get the gym flooring in your garage, like that piece that doesn't quite match, even though it came from the same manufacturer, it came from the same die lot. Like if I look at the labels, it was brand new stuff, and it all says like roll 1 of 3, roll 2 of 3, roll 3 of 3, right? It all came from the same order or whatever. I don't know why that one piece looks different from the others. T says, oh yeah, sometimes they use it has a sheen and you have to just turn it around. I turned it around. I did all that stuff. It's still wrong. And so then it just said, well, you're just going to have to get used to it, or whatever. It just tells you what it thinks you want to hear. Oh, would I do it again? I don't know. See, right now, probably. I don't know. I mean, yes, me, I would. You can't tell me anything, right? I can even experience things. I've done flooring jobs that have killed my knees and said, I will never ever do that again. And I knew getting to this that I can handle it, right? It did hurt my body. We'll say that, man. That Sunday, when everything was done, when dust was settled and all that stuff, I slept like I don't usually sleep. And I slept like all day. My body hurt. I slept on the couch and I woke up feeling better, which is weird, right? I mean, at 45, that shouldn't happen, but I did. My body felt better. But now, man, I will say, after the pain is gone, and after when you are really at the point of no return, where my regrets are today is like, I worry that they're going to get messed up, right? I worry that parking on them, I'm going to have to get something. I got to get something. Now I've got these like high maintenance floors, right? Where before stall mat, I don't care. First time I had a freight delivery after those stall mats, the dude dragged the pallet jack up my driveway, like across the street, up my driveway into the gym, all the way across. And I looked and I was like, man, what is that thick yellow paint that you're dragging all over? And he was like, oh, dang it. And he was like, yeah, I had one of those like 5-gallon buckets of street paint, like that they paint like the lines on a road, that stuff that is made to not come off. I had one of those explode in my truck and it got all over everything. And I was like, oh, cool. So he just drug it up my driveway and into my gym. And so I've used like spray paint to spray paint over that yellow. I can't do that with these floors, right? I'm just thinking like, man, whenever I got to be careful about that. I got to leave the machines outside. I mean, I have to try to figure out how to drag them in from out there instead of just the simplicity of just dropping it into the garage and dealing with it whenever I have time. It's like the first time I bought a Cerakote barbell, right? The first time I bought a Cerakote barbell. Before that barbell, I would have just beat the shit out of it, right? Whatever it is, I don't care. It's a beater bar. All bars are beater bars to me, but not that Cerakote thing. I was afraid I was going to scratch it, right? I would cover, like if I had to, like at the time I was having to do like deadlifts inside the rack. So I made these like piece of stall mat scrap to put on the rack just in case the bar should touch it or something, right? Like that kind of thing. And it got to the point where I was like, man, I can't do this. This isn't me. I like nice things, whatever, but I also want to use my stuff and I don't want to be worried about scratching it. So got rid of the Cerakote, said I'd never buy another Cerakote barbell and went with stainless steel or whatever, right? Well, that's kind of how I'm feeling about the floors in that. But also at the same time, I step out there and it like smells good. It smells like rubber, right? But not like bad rubber, not stall mat stink. And it doesn't smell like I got an air purifier down there because of the shit that grows in between the stall mats, right? Whenever I pulled those things back, there was so much like nasty underneath them. I had to get my pressure washer and wash the gym and all that kind of wash the concrete and all that stuff. I mean, I probably would have had to do that anyway. It hasn't, I don't even know when the last time it rained or whatever. We didn't get a lot of, I mean, we had some snow a while back, but I'm telling you, this is like 5 years worth of water that's been just staying under there, just black water stuff. I am hopeful that this alleviates that, right? I don't know what happens to the water with these. It doesn't just bead up on the top, I don't think. I'm hoping that if it's thin enough and porous enough to permeate, that it will also be thin enough and porous enough for my dehumidifier to remove that from there. I don't know. So those are the things that I regret or have concerns about, right? I don't know what the long term looks like. I will put something down in the areas where I know hot tires and things like that. I will put something to kind of protect it from that. But when I walk out there, just walk across like with my like bare feet, I don't feel, I mean, this could be also because they're brand new floors, but it just doesn't feels nice, man. It is so nice. It's smooth. I think they'll be able to stay cleaner I'll be able to wipe them up with like a mop or whatever. I'll be able to use the Roomba or fake Roomba thing that I have. I think it'll pick up dust and dirt and everything better. I really do have high hopes for that, but it just looks good. And like, you just want to lay on it. You know what I mean? I don't do that with stall mats. I was like, I sit on the floor, man. So some part of me thinks that those who are like, man, I don't want to sit on the floor and do low rows like myself, maybe I wouldn't care so much if I had nicer floors. I don't know. I don't want to sit in a garage floor and do that, right? Stall mat floor or whatever. So I can't help but keep going back to this metaphor. I'm sorry for those of you who feel like this is TMI, but it's like if you've ever used a bidet, then you kind of immediately realize it like, oh, this is why people have clean asses. And then you look at everybody else who doesn't have one, and people will be like, they'll judge you for using a bidet. And you're like, dude, you're the one with a shitty ass. You walk around with shit in your ass all day. But like, it's kind of like that. Like I pulled those stall mats out, I got those out and whatever, put those others on. And I immediately felt like I was like, man, I think I just entered this whole other echelon. Like I'm not judging other people for whatever, but I also like feel like this is one of those things where it's like, oh man, this is nice. This is like having a bidet. You know what I'm saying? This is like, okay, I get it. Now feel like I'm just looking down on stall mats. Anytime I see them in a picture or something, I don't want to do that, but they are really nice. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's just, nobody's going to disagree. Aesthetically, rolled rubber it just looks clean. It looks commercial. It looks professional, and it looks less like farm supply store, right? It looks more intentional gym build. So if I'm going to call myself Man Who Parks and Gym, how am I going to be Man Who Parks and Gym with horse stall mats, right? I don't know. I don't know if you would call that a rational thing or not. I say it's not. I did list the stall mats on Marketplace. They sold really fast, left me with that empty garage floor, and I had to do it, right? So like I said, there are things that they don't tell you, right? It shows up heavy, man. Those rolls are freaking heavy. So if you're going to do it, make sure that you can move it around. That was another reason why I wanted to get it. It was like I had these 3 giant rolls. I needed to get those things out of my way. But sometimes when you unroll it, it tries to roll itself back up again. Rubber I had didn't do that. That might be a difference in like quality rubber. That might be a question to ask if you're ordering it, right? Either way, whether it does that or not, you need to let it acclimate, which means that you cut it to size. You get your space all ready, you cut it to size, you lay it down, and you just leave it like it was. According to ChatGPT, you can leave it there and park your car on it and put your machines and things like that on it. And it might actually be good for it if it's trying to roll itself back up, right? Keeps it flat. So I'm standing there wondering if I made a very expensive mistake. Should I just go back to my stall mats, all that stuff? Like I said, I debated glue versus tape. Ultimately, I ended up choosing to tape the seams, which I'm going to do this weekend, and then using, like I said, adhesive at the front where the cars pull in and stuff like that, because I'm still going to park in there. Like I said, I'm just trying to reiterate, make sure I hit all the points here. If I said clear and concise, and then I just went full rogue, okay? But trying to roll machines over it, it's going to buckle. It's going to fold slightly. If you're going to do something like this, you should get your machines out of the gym if you can. It'd be so much easier if you had just a clean open space. Once you get going, it's really, they're 4 feet and they roll out, and it doesn't take that much once you get going, especially with the acclimation part. The taping all the hard work is done other than moving the machines. Now I've got to do that again, right? So even whenever I go to tape, most of it's not going to be that big of a deal because most of it is the big wide open space where the cars go. The whole time that I was doing this, I just kept thinking, what have I done? What have I done? I just got to keep doing it, keep going. Right. So I do read and I do hear that once the seams are taped and secured, rolling machines around are going to be a completely different story. It should be much smoother, and there won't be any like seam lips or anything like that. Right. Regardless, though, visually, like I said, man, I hate this expression, but it is kind of a game changer visually. Even my kids are like, it looks a lot better in here. And it's probably, part of it just be new floors, right? But it just looks finished, Was it worth it, though? Again, I don't know. There's no like noise difference or anything. The feel difference, it does feel different from the ones I had, right? It's smoother under the foot. It doesn't feel any different to lift on it or anything like that, but walking around in socks and things like that. The stall mats that I had were textured though. They almost look like diamond plate, but not the big diamond plate. They were like little pebble textures or something like that. Machine mobility yet to be determined after I tape and all that stuff. Aesthetically, like I said, huge improvement. Regret scale at this point, like maybe 2 out of 10. But we'll see after I've parked on them for a while, right? Like I said, I'm going to need something, especially in the winter time, but even the summertime, the hot tires and the slow turn and that kind of stuff, like it is going to chew up some areas there. So I'm going to put something, probably some excess rolled rubber pieces or mats or something like that. But on a financial scale, I don't think it makes any sense. I mean, there's nothing to gain here. You know, your workouts aren't going to be better. No one cares what your flooring is and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely unnecessary. It did make the gym feel more intentional and more polished. I think it's peak home gym nerd behavior, right? That's kind of who we are. I'm curious what you guys think. Are stall mats still the king? Is rolled rubber or even the puzzle piece rubber the move? If you're dialing things in, is that where people are going? And if so, I mean, I've said this before, like if I were doing this all over again, I would not have done stall mats. I probably would have done something different with my flooring. I might have even, if I'd have known where I'd be now, I probably would have had somebody come out and do like the epoxy thing or something, right? Then I wouldn't even have to worry about any of it. I can just poop on the floor and spray it out. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. And in the meantime, let's do the quick product spotlight. This should come as no surprise, Kevin. I'm talking about a lateral raise, this time from Bulletproof Fitness. They call it the Direct Multi-Flight or Direct Flight Multi-Flight. And what I thought was cool about it, it comes out $319. Now that I think might be like a pre-order price. I don't know. Looks like it'll go up. I don't know if it will or not. It says save $80. This isn't a recommendation to pre-order. I wouldn't pre-order anything anymore. I'm at a place where I'd like to wait and see, you know, what others say about it and that kind of stuff and see how it comes out, final product. Should be good. I don't know. They did have something like this at HomeGymCon. I didn't use it. It was basically like, I thought that what he had at HomeGymCon, it was red, and I think he had welded it together and stuff. It was kind of a concept that he had put together. It's like I don't know, like Alibaba or whatever has a bunch of these units that are like a freestanding unit. And it looked like maybe he had taken one of those and then made it into a rack attach, right? So pretty cool for those who, well, the $319 pre-order price would be for those who already have like, maybe they already have like a load trolley, like a VTS system, or they already have like the Prime HLP or whatever that has a low pulley at the bottom that they could use. I still think you're going to need the floating pulley though, no matter what. Well, I don't know about no matter what, but the floating pulley is, let me see if I can zoom in on it. So the way that it's designed is very similar. Most of you guys probably don't know this, but some 3 or 4 years ago, I had pieced together out of some parts. I chopped up a lever arm and chopped up a cross member, like a lower cross member, and I used some bearings and various parts from like McMaster and whatever, and I pieced together a rack mounted lateral raise. I used the Rogue articulating handles for the handles on it, and it was actually really legit for the time, right? For the time, it was actually really legit. I went back to those and shared with one of my buddies, Chip, a couple of days ago. I was like, check this out. And yeah, man, those days were completely different in the gym for me. It was a little reminiscent of just things I don't do anymore. But this is like a steroids version of that. But the point that I'm trying to make here, what I'm trying to get to, is that the way that the cable system routes and all that kind of stuff is the same concept. So mine was done up above, right? I had a pulley above with a kind of a floating pulley in between. And then I had 2 pulleys on the handles, or, you know, at the ends of the handles, kind of like these are, and that cable wrapped around that into the floating pulley, which was also connected to my weight stack through the Rogue slinger. So same concept. essentially, with the floating pulley on this one, it's going to give it a softer feel, like a better feel. And then also it's going to allow you to do your single arm movements. Whereas without that, it's not going to, I don't, my experience, if it feels the way that mine did, similar to the way mine did, it would feel harsh, like not as good. And you wouldn't be able to do the single movements as easily either. It would just kind of bind up and stuff. So I don't know why you wouldn't need the floating pulley unless you already have it or something, or have some other solution for that. So load trolley, that's one of those things you're only going to need it if you need the full thing. I don't know what the MIDI barbell is. That might be something that's probably answered on the website. It's probably here. It's probably in one of these. He's got at the bottom, I don't know, 9 different videos or something like that, 6, 7 videos. I didn't watch all those. Sorry, guys. Product spotlight. But anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. I'd like to know a little bit more about it. I'd like to try it. It does have both 1 inch or 5/8 inch hole compatibility. Should be really good. I think I thought the price came in right at $319 for the low. And if you have to end up getting all of the stuff, you're still looking at $580 plus shipping, taxes, all that stuff. You're not getting out of that, but it just bolts on there with a thumb screw. So it's not super crazy. However heavy it might be, you don't have to, wriggle it in there with like a J cup style or anything like that, which is nice. Also, like I said, if you've already got like a weight stack system or something, you can skip that. I love the way that it's kind of, modular in terms of being able to just order the parts that you need, all or nothing, or rather than all or nothing. You don't have any wasted stuff there. I do wonder if eventually he'll be able to sell just the load trolley or something. So like if you buy this and then need to add it later or something, I bet he'll sell you that stuff separately. Also with that thumb screw on the back probably helps it not be, loose on the upright or anything like that. I would imagine that would be pretty annoying if this thing rocks back and forth. So that's something to look out for on that. Does it fit snugly? And if snuggly, does it fit snug? And if not, can you snug it up, shore it up with like painter's tape or something like that to get the UHMW there? So it looks like it doesn't take up just a ton of space. Storing it would suck, if you don't have a upright to keep it on. It's big. It's gonna be sucky to store, so something to consider there. But I bet you could probably, I don't know how heavy it is, but you might be able to move it to like the top of your upright or something. And then these arms can probably store upwards and then fold them down and that kind of thing to kind of save some space there. But so that's going to be probably the biggest drawback, is going to be the weight and the size of it for storage. Because even those Amazon like Mikolo or GMWD or whatever, those kind of plate loaded ones that are like, I don't know, $100, $200 or something like that. Those are kind of a bitch to store. So anyway, looking forward to seeing this thing hit people's gyms. All right. So today we covered HomeGymCon. We did a community spotlight with Antonio, the greatest stall mat purge, rolled rubber installation realities, and a little product spotlight. So if you enjoyed this episode, share it, leave a comment, send me your flooring setups, submit your gym for the community spotlight. And if you're coming to HomeGymCon, come say what's up. Until next time, keep it simple. Remember, it's not just about the reps. It's also about the rants. It's rep, rant, repeat. Whatever.